Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the geoprocessing basics. Where we left off in part 1, we had identified all the areas common to that were within 2 miles of the cities that are less than 2,000 in population and 2 miles from one of the deep wells. And so what we see in purple, everything colored in purple, is those are the areas. So we have one more criteria that we need to do some geoprocessing with. So far we've done the buffer and we've done the intersection. We've done a couple of buffers and a couple of, just one intersection. And we want to make sure that we are 10 miles away from a city of greater than 5,000. So let's see how we do that. How do we find out what area is 10 miles away from a city with greater than 5,000 people? I'll let you think about that for a little bit, just for a few seconds, and see what you come up with on your own. And if you said you would go to the geoprocessing drop down and go to buffer, you are correct. But I want to show you another way to get to buffering. That's through the ARC toolbox. And there's a lot of things that are available in the ARC toolbox that are not available in any of these tools that you see here. There are tons of tools. So I'm going to introduce you to ARC toolbox. Click on ARC toolbox and you'll see what comes up. And it's a massive amount of tools. I'll get you introduced to them. So here is ARC toolbox. You see we've got 3D Analyst with all of these different classes of tools here for working with 3D features. Each one of these is a different tool. So you can imagine how many tools are in here. Each of these toolboxes is full of more and more tools. So the geocoding tools, look at all the tools there. Spatial analyst tools. Check this out. Tons of these tools. Map algebra, math. Look at all of that. So there's so many more tools available than what you see here. This is the tip of the iceberg. But let's close all of these things up. If you've been poking around in the toolbox, close everything up. Just collapse them in. We're going to analysis tool, and we are going to look at proximity. And so you see there's several tools under proximity, but buffer is one of these. Now, another type of buffer that we have is the multiple ring buffer. That's handy if you need to know the area in 2 miles and 5 miles and 8 miles. So it looks like a target. It's several different rings, like a bullseye type thing when we use the multiple ring buffer. But we're using a basic buffer. We double click there. Same thing comes up. And again, I just wanted you to see that there are different ways to get to the same thing. I can dock this if I choose over here. Dock it up here wherever I want to, but I'm just going to place it in my other monitor. And I want to know the 10-mile area around the cities with greater than 2,000 people there. So that's my input. And just click on that and it'll pop up in there. And again, you should navigate to your geo database where all this data is coming from. I'm going to let mine go to the default so that it doesn't corrupt anybody else's data. And I want, for my linear unit, I want miles, and I want it to be 10. And I'm leaving this as a basic buffer, so I'm not going to do any of the optional stuff. I just say OK, and then I watch my little buffer thing go by here. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's not. Oh, it buffered it so fast that it didn't even show up down here. So let's see, where did it go? Oh, I got an error message. What happened here? So I got an error message when I did that. So let's do that again. I'm just going to go here and grab it here. It's quicker that way since I accidentally closed my toolbox. So my input feature, cities of greater than 2K. I'm going to let it go here My linear unit is miles. I want 10 miles. And the message I got was that I didn't give it a location to go to. However, that's there. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that there was just some little bug, a glitch, a blip in the electrons running through there. That happens sometimes. Sometimes there's a little bit of a glitch. It doesn't have anything to do with anything you did. Here we go. Wait, it should be still giving me an error message. Oh, there it is. I got an error message, but now I got the thing. So like I said, sometimes it just goes a little wacky. All right, so here's my 10-mile buffer. So you can see that I don't want this little sliver of this purple right here, or whatever's of the purple that's under this blue spot here. These are my 10-mile zones around the cities. I'm going to plot my purple target areas. So you can see I don't want any of this. This is going to be too congested for me. I want to be out in the middle of nowhere. So how do I get rid of these? How do I make these go away? I want to create a new layer, and it's going to be done through something called erase. Now in this case I have to use the toolbox because erase is not one of the most common. I use it a lot, but not everybody uses it that much. So these are some of the more common ones: the buffer, clip, intersect, union, merge, and dissolve. This is going to be under overlay, and here's erase. So double click there. My input features are going to be, my input is going to be my deep well buffer, intersect, and my erase feature is going to be cities of greater than 2K buffer. And I'm letting it go to my default. You may want to, again, make sure it doesn't go in your default, because sometimes things get lost when they go to the default folder. I'm okay with it getting lost because I'm not going to keep using this. And I hit OK. And you'll see I'm getting the erase. So now you see, did you see what just happened? You still see the purple in there, and you say, why didn't it go away? Because we just created a new layer. And that is, there you see it. I'm going to turn off my purple layer, and I'm going to move my Arc toolbox, make that go away. And I'm going to also get rid of my big old buffers here. So there we go. These are the only things left. These light blue around these stars. These are the only ones that have a well within 2 miles. The only ones that meet this criteria. Within 2 miles of an existing well, within 2 miles of a city of less than 2,000 population, and a minimum of 10 miles away from a city of greater than 5,000. Oh, it should be 2,000. That should have been 2,000. As they say, my bad. I'll just correct that right now. All right, so here we have it. Except there's one more bit of criteria. We want to be in the Trinity Aquifer. So there's actually a couple of ways we can do this. You don't actually have to use the standard geoprocessing. This is where we can go back to using selection by location. And this is a review for you, because we want we want to make sure. Actually, we could go either way, but you could actually do a physical review and see which areas are in this light blue color here, this kind of a brightish, I don't know what color blue you would call that. We could do a select by location here. As a review, you could select features from let's see what it's called before I go off. And the Deep Wells Buffer 3 Intersect 1. See how it gets crazy names that intersect with aquifers. And whoops, forgot to do one thing here. To do that, we have to click on aquifer, use the select button. We can manually select it, but see how I get all this other stuff? Or we can select by attribute and go to aquifers, aquifer name equals, get unique values. We want Trinity. We say OK. And so that highlights and selects the Trinity aquifer. And next we can go to select by location. And we want the deep well buffer intersect 1 source layer aquifer. Use selected features and say OK. And so now we can see which areas are selected. So it's the ones that intersect here. Is that what we really want, though? Is that what we really want? Not really, because then we've got some stuff hanging out over here that doesn't look like it's in the Trinity. We've got some stuff hanging out over here. So that was saying anything that touches the Trinity aquifer. Let's unselect. We want to go back, select by attribute. This is still in here, so we can say OK. And let's look at another choice. Select by location. Deep wells, use selected features. How about instead of intersect, we want to say are completely within the source feature, the source layer feature. I'm showing you this because these are some things that we haven't really done yet. We haven't explored all the different choices, but we want it to be completely within the source layer feature. Let's see what happens. And so now, if you zoom in here, you see that it only got the parts that were completely within that aquifer. So that solves that. I can go in now and do a right click here and make a layer from that. Go to selection. Create layer from selected features. And then I can unselect everything. And so now I have this all new layer right here. Where did it go? Here's my selection of the layer. This is this kind of pale green color. So I can be certain that that if I buy property in this pale green selection, that will meet my criteria. Let me zoom to layer. But you can see how it gets kind of crazy. Look at all the different layers that get built out of this. So layer management is important. You want to make sure that your layer, the names make sense, and you can find the layers if you need them. You can find the different feature classes if you need them. So that is, you can also, if you wanted to, we could do another geoprocessing intersect between the deep well buffer 3 intersect 1 and the Trinity aquifer. We could do that if we wanted to, but this suffices. All right, so I wanted to show you some other things. Let me review quickly the geoprocessing skills we've gone over so far, or tools we've gone over so far. We've done buffering, which identifies an area of a specified linear distance around a feature, creates a new layer for it. We've done intersection, which finds the common areas between two or more layers. We've done the erase, which removes some of the unwanted. Well, in our case, it removes the buffer zone around those. The buffer zones around the areas that we didn't want, that were too close to the cities, the larger cities. But we haven't done union or clip, and these are two fairly popular ones. Clip is much like erase. I'll show you what clip does. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my aquifers here. And let's get rid of the wells. And let's get rid of that. Let's just have our buffers around our large cities. Let's look at what clip does. I'm going to go geoprocessing. Clip is like a cookie cutter situation. So what if we wanted, well, I'll just show you really quickly. Our input feature, if we want to keep the counties with everything except these circles, these buffer zones, if we want to keep the counties except for that, we put in county, or the capcog, that's the name of their county layer. And our clip feature is going to be cities of greater than 2K BU4. That stands for buffer. And so it's going to create something called capcog clip. So we run that, we watch it. It's going to say clip, 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 clip down here. And we're going to get a new layer fairly soon here. See, it's flashing. And let's remove everything. We want to get rid of that. We want to get rid of the capcog. And you see what it does? It's a cookie cutter sort of thing. It uses the buffer as your cookie cutter and your capcog, your counties, as your dough, and it clips out in the shape of our buffers. It clips out of those counties in the shape of our buffers. So it retains that and gets rid of the rest of the county around it. So you see how it's similar to the erase function. If we wanted to keep the counties but lose this part in the middle, then that would be erase. So it's just it's a matter of choice there, whichever one you need to keep as to whether or not you use clip or erase. You see, it's a very similar tool. All right. One other thing, I'm going to uncheck that. I want to bring my capcog, that's my base map. I want to bring that in, and we're going to look at the what if we wanted to say we want our, I don't want that one. Let's see, where's my buffers? Got so many things in here now. See how you can easily lose things. You want to keep track of things as best as possible. All right, so here's my buffer, my 2-mile buffer around my smaller cities. And what if I wanted my location to be within 2 miles of a small city or one of the wells? Here's my deep well buffer. So what I need is a combination layer that includes everything, all of these well buffers, plus my yellow small city buffers. That's called a union. So let's do union. I'm going to put in those 2 layers. Let me move that out of the way. I want my cities of less than 2K buffer. And I want my deep wells buffer. Where's my deep wells buffer? There it is. And those are the 2 things I want to union. Think of, they're marrying, they're unioning. And I'm just letting this go to my default. And of course, this is going to let us know what's going on down here. Now, don't get too terribly used to seeing something moving across here when you're doing geoprocessing. Sometimes it just doesn't go. Sometimes it doesn't tell you it's working on something, and you get worried. You're waiting, and like it didn't work, and then all of a sudden, surprise! There it is. When you see that flashing that you just saw there, that's usually telling you it's finished. Okay, so let's get rid of the buffers, and now you'll see the merged layer. I'm going to make this bright red. And there we go. There's not merged. That's the union layer. So there you go. That's our single layer that shows any of these places. If I wanted to be near, within 2 miles of a city or within 2 miles of a well, this indicates the areas that are okay to buy. All right, so that covers some of the most common geoprocessing tools that you will need. We talked about how to buffer, how to use intersection in terms of geoprocessing, how to use erase, union, and clip. Don't hesitate to get in touch with me if you have any questions on how to do any of this. Now, on this Wednesday, October I believe it's the 1st, then I will be working on the videos for the next assignment, which will be map making. So I'll have a video and I'll have a PowerPoint available for you as well. I'll be working on the videos. One thing I have learned about these videos is it may take 30 minutes to make a video, but it takes a lot of time for it to process, render, and then be able to upload it on the internet. So sometimes I can start on a video at 10 o'clock in the morning and it's not online until 10 o'clock the next morning. So, but I will be working on those on this Wednesday, so expect to see them. Keeping your fingers crossed that everything holds together and all the data is working and everything's great. You'll see those videos and the assignment Thursday. Then the following week, we will have finished all the skills that you will need to do the first project. And you'll have a couple of weeks to do that. So the following week, I think that's going to be October the 7th. This will be, October the 8th. This will be the kickoff for the Project 1. We'll also have a quiz coming up this week. Again, my quizzes, you can take them as many times as you want. They are a way for you to learn some vocabulary and help solidify some of the knowledge that you read in the text. And look forward to next week. Have a great one.